The sky cracked open before the evening even had a chance to settle. A violent rumble shook the window panes, making the entire house tremble. Rain hammered the rooftop like a thousand impatient fingers. You were in the living room, standing behind your father's armchair, watching Bellatrix face left and right like an excited cat waiting to be fed. Do you think he will bring gifts? Maybe diamonds? CEOs always do that, right? Your father cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses. He's wealthy, very wealthy. That's enough for you to know. Your mother quietly smoothed the pleats of her dupatta, stealing a nervous glance toward the door. Something about her expression gave you a strange feeling like she knew something. Bellatrix didn't, and she did. The thunder cracked again, and then came the moment. A loud knock echoed through the house, not gentle, not polite, a firm, commanding knock like someone who didn't request entry but expected it. Your father stood up quickly, wiping his palms against his pants. He's here. Bellatrix squealed, fixing her hair. Finally, my CEO, future husband, she said it with the pride that made your mother sigh under her breath. The door opens. Your father swung the door open. A cold gust of wind rushed inside, extinguishing the candle on the table. And then you saw him, or rather, the silhouette first. A man, tall but seated, a wheelchair in front of him. Mud splashed over the wheels, water dripping from the metallic rim. Two umbrellas hovered above him, held by his parents as rain continued pounding the earth. His mother stepped forward. We apologize for arriving during the storm. Jungkook insisted we not postpone, and there he was. John Jungkook, sharp jawline, damp black hair falling over his forehead, eyes colder than the weather outside, and posture perfectly straight despite the wheelchair. He didn't look bothered, not by the rain, not by the stairs. He looked like a man who refused to be pitied. Bellatrix froze. Her smile died, her excitement evaporated. Her gaze dropped to the wheelchair, then to Jungkook's legs, then back to his face. And Jungkook noticed. Oh, he noticed everything. A faint smirk tugged at one of corner of his lips, amused but not plainly. Your father forced a too wide smile. Please come inside. Welcome. Jungkook rolled forward, the wheels making a low, controlled sound across the tiles. His eyes scanned the house, the walls, the family portraits, and finally the three of you standing inside. His gaze lingered on Bellatrix, then he blinked slowly, unimpressed. You must be Bellatrix. He swallowed hard. Yes, I am Bellatrix. Chungkook held her stare for a moment too long, and then I see. Just two words, yet they carried disappointment, judgment, and finality. Your mother flinched, even your father looked uneasy. Bellatrix suddenly stepped back, whispering to your father loudly enough for Jungkook to hear. You said he was rich. You didn't say he was. She paused, watching Jungkook's perfectly controlled face in a wheelchair. Your breath hissed. Your mother shut her eyes in embarrassment, and Jungkook leaned back slightly, eyes narrowing, not hurt, just amused at her audacity. Is that a problem? Bellatrix scoffed. Well, yes. I mean, what am I supposed to do? A CEO is great, but if he can't even stand up to fulfill basic needs, then what good is all the money? There it was, the venom, the insult, the humiliation, the room went deathly quiet. Your father stepped forward in shock. Bellatrix, mine your, but he didn't need to finish. Because Jungkook laughed, a slow, cold, dangerous laugh that didn't match the storm outside, it felt worse. Basic needs? Bellatrix's face reddened. Jungkook tilted his head, his voice dripping with icy sarcasm. Then I sincerely hope your personality compensates for the lack of class. Your mouth parted slightly. Even your father's voice shook. Mr. Jones, she didn't mean. Jungkook raised her hand, a silent gesture commanding the entire room to shut up. His hand didn't tremble, his voice didn't waver. I'm not interested in marrying someone whose mind is smaller than her heels. Bellatrix gasped, offended. Excuse me. Jungkook ignored her and turned his head to you. For the first time, his gaze softened not warmly, but with a strange, calculating curiosity. You felt your breath catch. He looked at you like he had already decided something. And then, calmly, he said the sentence that detonated your entire life. I will marry wine, not her. You froze, your heart pulsed painfully against your ribs. Your mother dropped the shawl she was holding. Bellatrix shrieked in disbelief. What? Her? Are you insane? Jungkook's expression didn't change. If I wanted a spoiled child, I would have adopted one. I need a wife, not a tantrum. Bellatrix stomped her feet. You can't just choose her. She's nothing. Jungkook's eyes sharpened. She's quite observant, and unlike you, she knows how to hold her tongue. Your throat tightened, he barely knew you, yet he saw you. Then Jungkook turned to your father. Mister, my proposal stands. I will marry wine. Your father looked torn between fear, shock, and greed. And that moment, the last peaceful moment in your life, slipped past like a breath in the storm. The storm didn't end that night, it simply moved inside your house. Your mother cried quietly in the kitchen, her shaking hands gripping the edge of the counter as if holding herself together. Your father paced the living room, sweat beading on his forehead while Bellatrix muttered curses under her breath. I can't believe this. He chose her. Her? What does she even have? Your father snapped. Enough, Bellatrix. But she only scoffed, arms crossed slightly. Fine, let her go marry the man she'll have to push around. Let her deal with the embarrassment. I'll enjoy watching her fail. Her words sliced into you, even though you pretended not to hear. Your mother finally walked toward you, eyes puffed from crying. She cupped your face with trembling palms. Wine, sweetheart, you don't have to do this. We will talk to him again. We will fix this. Your father's voice dropped, stern and trembling. We can't offend the Joan family. They are powerful. If we refuse now, it will destroy us. Our business, our reputation, everything. But she's our daughter, and this is her responsibility. Your bit has your responsibility. That's what your life became in one night. Your eyes lifted toward the doorway, where Jungkook waited in his wheelchair, his posture cold and uninterested, like he was observing a transaction rather than a marriage. He didn't speak, he didn't blink, he didn't show any emotion. Bellatrix tossed her hair and laughed mockingly at you. Have fun pushing him around. I'm sure your new life will be thrilling. You felt your mother's grip tighten protectively, but it didn't change anything because your father already handed you the pen, a pen that sealed your fate. You sat in front of the marriage papers, laid out neatly on the table. The ink glistened black like it understood the weight of your decision. Your hands trembled uncontrollably. Jungkook watched you silently from across the table, expression unreadable. Eyes steady, aura sharp enough to cut the air. He looked at you as if measuring how easily you would break. Finally, you forced your hand to stop shaking long enough to sign your name. The moment the ink touched the paper, something inside you cracked, not softly, not quietly, it shattered. Jungkook didn't even blink. He simply turned his wheelchair away as if you were nothing but a page he had chosen out of convenience. The ceremony was small, quiet, rushed, and painfully cold. No music, no flowers, no celebration. Just an officiant who spoke too fast, a father who looked relieved, a mother who cried into her dupatta, and a wheelchaired groom who didn't so much as glance in your direction. Not once. He didn't look at you when you walked beside him. He didn't look at you when he placed the ring on your finger. He didn't look at you when the vows were spoken. To Jungkook, you were not a bride, you were an agreement, a necessity, a placeholder, a woman who was simply available. When the ceremony ended, he rolled away without waiting for you. Mrs. Jones offered you a soft, apologetic smile. But Jungkook's father whispered something to him, and they both left first, leaving you standing in the empty hall with a dull weight forming in your chest. You were married, but you felt profoundly, terrifyingly alone. Your new bedroom was spacious, modern, minimalist, and cold. Too cold, the air smelled faintly of cedarwood and expensive cologne. A massive glass window overlooked the dark cityscape. It should have felt impressive. But it felt like a stranger's life. Jungkook entered the room ahead of you, his wheelchair rolling across the marble with a soft, controlled rhythm. He didn't look back to see if you were following, he didn't ask if you were okay, he didn't acknowledge you at all. He stopped near the bed, then reached for the side handle to lock his wheels. His movements were practiced, efficient, emotionless. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then he exhaled long, tired, and irritated. Let's make one thing clear. His voice sliced through the silence. Don't expect a husband. You froze near the doorway. He continued, his tone flat and merciless. You were just available. The words stabbed deeper than Bellatrix insults ever could. Your throat tightened painfully, but you forced yourself not to speak, not to cry, not to break. He wheeled himself to the other side of the room and began transferring himself onto the bed. With practice, difficulty, you instinctively took a step toward him. Jungkook snapped without looking at you. Don't touch me. You flinched. Once he was settled, he turned his back to you, dragging the blanket up with a slow, strained movement. Sleep wherever you want, just not close. Your chest ached so sharply it felt physical. You stood there in the dim light, watching the outline of the man who was now your husband, cold, distant, and deliberately unreachable. He didn't say good night, he didn't check on you, he didn't care, and you lay down on the far corner of the bed, staring at the ceiling. Silent hurting, married to a man who refused to even look at you, morning arrived too soon. You hadn't slept properly, Chunguk had remained still the entire night. His back turned to you, breathing evenly like your presence didn't exist. When the sun seeped through the curtains, he pushed himself upright with controlled effort, gripping the bed frame to shift back into his wheelchair. You rose instinctively to help. Chuguk's cold voice hit you first thing in the morning. I said, don't touch me. You froze mid step. He adjusted himself in his wheelchair, jaw clenching slightly as his muscles strained. It looked painful even though he hid it well. His hand slipped once and the chair moved. Your head jumped. You took one step forward. Jungkook turned his head sharply. Don't. Just one word, but it carried a warning sharp enough to slice the air. He rolled toward the door without giving you another look. Get dressed, you are coming to the office. You blinked. Me? Jungkook didn't stop rolling. Yes, you. Unless you plan to sit here and be useless. The insult burned, but you followed him. The Joan Industries headquarters rose into the sky like a monument made of steel and pride. Employees line up at the entrance. As Jungkook's car pulled in, the moment he appeared, the entire staff bowed respectfully. You noticed the immediate shift in atmosphere in the air thickened with professionalism and fear. His employees didn't look at him with pity. They looked at him with awe. A cold, commanding aura surrounded him like armor. The automatic door slid open as he entered, the wheels of his chair moving smoothly over the polished floors. A woman in a pencil skirt rushed over with files. Good morning, President Joan. Jungkook didn't respond. He didn't need to. She looked at you next, confused, surprised, a little judgmental, and this is Jungkook cut her off. My wife, she will be working under me. The secretary's eyes widened as she corrected her posture. Jealousy flickered for a moment, but you ignored it. Jungkook continued rolling forward, not slowing for you. You were nearly jogging behind him. He stopped at a glass office, cold and modern. Sit. You sat. He placed a stack of documents in front of you, thick, complicated, filled with corporate jargon. Finish these by 3 p.m. Your eyes widened. All of these. Jungkook's tone stayed calm but cutting. You will do them, unless, of course, your sister was right and you can't handle anything difficult. His words stung more than you expected. You clenched your jaw, nodded firmly, and started reading. Jungkook wheeled himself to his desk without waiting. The test had begun. Hours later, by 2:58 p.m., your head was pounding, but you had finished, not roughly, not carelessly. You had done it well, better than he expected. Jungkook rolled over at exactly 3 p.m. His expression blank as he reached for the papers. He skimmed one page, then another and another. His eyebrows lowered a fraction, the faintest sign of surprise. You understood all this? You nodded quietly. A long silence, then, hmm. A small displaced sound, disappointed that you didn't fail. He placed the papers down. Don't get comfortable. This was the easiest work. But something in his voice had changed, even if slightly. He didn't sound indifferent anymore. He sounded aware of you. His name was Alice from the marketing department, tall, charming, unfairly handsome, the type of man who used confidence like a weapon. You met him on your third day at the office. You were walking toward the files room when someone blocked your path. Mrs. Joan, right? You stiffened. Just wine is fine. His lips curled into a slow, deliberate smirk. Wine, that's a pretty name. You stepped back slightly, uncomfortable with his tone. Alice moved closer, too close. I have seen you around. You look lost. Must be difficult being married to the boss. That isn't your concern, he chuckled, leaning against the wall. Come on, I'm just being friendly. Besides, the women like you shouldn't be ignored. Your stomach twisted. You didn't like the way he said it. Before he could speak, he reached out and brushed a stray strand of hair from your cheek. You jerked back. Don't touch me. Alice raised his hand in fake innocence. Relax, no harm done, but if you ever need comfort, you know where to find me. He winked, your skin crawled. You rushed away, heart pounding. That evening, you are leaving the files room when Alice cornered you again. Wine wait, his hand grabbed your wrist lightly, not painfully but firmly. You froze. Don't act shy. You know I'm right. He doesn't look at you, doesn't talk to you. You deserve. A voice sliced through the hallway like a blade. Let go of her. Both you and Alice turned. Jungkook's wheelchair was parked at the end of the corridor. His eyes were dark, his jaw was clenched so tightly it looked painful. He wasn't shouting, he didn't need to, his voice was level. Alice smirked. President June, I was just. Jungkook rolled forward slowly, dangerously calm. Move your hand now. Alice hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing his expression. Jungkook repeated, his voice colder. Do not make me say it again. Alice released you instantly. You took a breath of relief. Jungkook's gaze snapped to you. My office now. You followed him, heart pounding, not because he was angry, but because for the first time he looked furious on your behalf. The moment the office door closed behind you, Jungkook spun his wheelchair sharply, facing you with storm dark eyes. Explain. You swallowed. Alice, he cornered me and Jungkook cut you off, voice razor sharp. Why didn't you stop him earlier? You blinked. I did. I told him. You let him touch you. Your breath hissed. I didn't let him. Jungkook slammed his palm against his desk, the sound echoing through the room. Do not raise your voice at me. You lowered your gaze, heart churning in your chest. He stared at you for a long, tense moment. His jaw was tight, his breathing was heavier than usual, like he had just willed himself too fast, or like he was furious for reasons even he didn't understand. From now on, you do not work alone, you do not walk alone, and you do not talk to men like him. You frowned. You don't own me. Jungkook leaned forward, eyes narrowing dangerously. You are my wife. Your heart skipped. He realized what he said, and you saw it. The flicker, the mistake. He quickly hardened his tone again. By law, so whatever happens to you reflects on me. You felt something sting inside your chest. So you cared because of your reputation. Jungkook's jaw locked. He didn't answer because the real reason was something he refused to say. It happened 2 days later. He stayed late to complete a project Jungkook had assigned. He left earlier for a board meeting. The office was empty, silent, darker than usual. You were reaching for a file on the top shelf when a hand suddenly slid onto your waist. Your scream caught in your throat. Alice, his breath hovered near your ear, hot and unwelcome. Don't pretend you don't feel lonely. He doesn't touch you, doesn't look at you, doesn't treat you like a wife. Your stomach twisted with fear. Let go of me. Alice pushed you gently but firmly against the shelf. Just let me give you what he never will. Your heart raced, panic surged. Stop, Alice, stop. He leaned closer. That's when you screamed. A sharp, desperate sound that sliced through the quiet building. It echoed down the hallway, straight to Jungkook. He had returned early, and your scream was the only thing he needed to hear. The office door burst open so violently it slammed into the wall. Jungkook was there, breathless, furious, just rising and falling quickly. As he pushed his wheelchair harder than his body could handle, get away from her, Alice froze. Jungkook, Jungkook's voice was low, deadly. Touch her again, and I will bury your career so deep you will beg for unemployment. Alice tried to smirk, but his voice trembled. Sir, I didn't, don't lie. He wheeled closer, dangerously close, his knuckles white from gripping his wheels. You think I'm weak because I sit in a chair? Alice swallowed hard. Jungkook leaned in with a cold smile that didn't reach his eyes. I built this empire sitting. Silence. Then Jungkook turned his head toward you for a fraction of a second. A flicker of fear, concern, protectiveness flashed across his features, blinked, and it was gone. He looked away instantly, voice harsh. Come here. You walked to him, still shaking. He didn't touch you, but his eyes scanned you like he was checking for bruises, injuries, anything. Then he glared back at Alice. Pack your things, you're fired. Alice stepped back. Pale, he didn't argue again. You and Jungkook left together. His jaw tensed the entire way. He didn't speak, not until you reached the elevator. The elevator doors closed. It was just you and him, silence heavy enough to suffocate. Jungkook finally spoke low, cold, but shaking at the edge. If he touched you again, he stopped. His hands were trembling. He stepped closer. Jungkook, he flinched and looked away. Don't. You frowned. Don't what? Jungkook ground his teeth. Don't look at me like I'm some hero. Your eyes widened, he continued, voice breaking ever so slightly. I'm not someone who saves people. Your heart softened painfully, but before he could reply, the elevator dinged and he rolled out as fast as he could. Escaping the vulnerability he accidentally showed. That night, you walked to the kitchen to get water. You stopped at the doorway. Jungkook was there alone, struggling. He was trying to shift from his wheelchair to the couch, something he did earlier with ease. But now his muscles shook violently. His hand slipped off the armrest and he let out a frustrated, pained sound. Damn it. He tried again, failed, tried again, failed again. You rushed in. Let me help. Jungkook snarled, don't touch me. But this time his voice cracked. This time he didn't sound angry. He sounded ashamed. He just squeezed. Jungkook, please. His breathing was ragged, his hair damp with sweat, and his hands trembled uncontrollably. Still, he turned his face away. I don't want you to see me like this. It was the first honest thing he had said to you since the marriage. Slowly, gently, you knelt beside him. Then, why didn't you lock the door? He didn't answer because you were right. He could have locked the door. He didn't because deep down he wanted you there. You placed your hand on his slow so he could pull away if he wanted. He didn't. Chungu closed his eyes, breathing shakily as he murmured, I don't need your pity because I'm not giving it. His eyes opened. He stared at you long, silent, and blinking. The sharp, cool CEO masks began to fracture, revealing the man beneath. Wounded, lonely, desperate to be strong, terrified to be weak, you helped him shift onto the couch, and this time he didn't push your hands away. He didn't thank you either. He just whispered, barely audible, don't tell anyone. I won't. He nodded once, stiff, embarrassed, then looked away again. But the air between you had changed. Something new had begun, fragile, dangerous, real.